every one of them's different. And I'm not used to the touch. I'm always trying to do something else. Yes.
I have a pad, but it's not Apple, so I've never been an Apple.
I'd like to call the Maumelle City Council meeting to order. The first order of business is invocation and pledge of allegiance. I'm going to lead us in that tonight. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, Lord, and we're thankful for this community in which we serve, Lord. We're thankful for the day yesterday where the whole world stopped to recognize that the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ in this country for the most part, Lord, and other people celebrated the Passover, Lord. So we'd ask you to continue our minds to be mindful of that and the sacrifice that was made for us, Lord. We'd also ask you to be with our military personnel that are serving our country overseas, Lord. Keep them out of harm's way and safe as they protect our liberties. We also ask you to be with our first responders throughout our city, Lord, as they respond to calls of unknown nature at times, Lord, and keep them safe as only you can. We'd ask you to be with us as we make our decisions here tonight and help us to have wisdom and guidance from you in all that we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have no special guests and announcements tonight. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the March 19th regular meeting, and there's a copy of a revised set of minutes that was placed at everyone's chair tonight, and the changed section is highlighted in yellow on page 3, I believe it was. Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the revised minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is public comment. I have no public comment cards on agenda items or on any items tonight. Next item is financial statement review, and we will do that at the second meeting of the month. Next item is departmental reports. We have 2 that we're going to have tonight, and first up is Ms. Nicole Vogler, who's Director of the Senior Services Department, or the Center on the Lake is the facility.
Good evening.
You can pull that down.
I pull that down just a little bit, sorry. Well, it takes a village to provide the services and the amenities to the residents and members. Center on the Lake may get the credit for it, but everyone has a part in its success. So I want to highlight a couple of the other departments within the city that truly help us in what we do. I want to highlight Economic and Development Director Judy Keller and Courtney Dunn for their website. Their new website revamp has really upped our traffic on our website. We really love that we have a landing page. We were able to use MaumelleCenteronTheLake.org, which is easier to remember, but it goes directly to the city website. And I want to thank those 2 staff members for their help in that, and their vision to do that. Credit card processing. We started credit card processing this year. Courtney Dunn helped us instrumentally with that. We also do that on the website, which Courtney helped with. And the accounting department has been extremely helpful, and I want to thank our city, sorry, I lost my place in my thing, our city clerk and Treasurer Timmons, our finance director Sharon Vega, and the accounting department team for their help with credit cards. We've taken to date $8,900 from January 1st to April 2nd of credit cards, and that's been just a great thing for us because it's less cash handling that our staff does. And we've also taken, as I mentioned, payments on the website. So we've also taken, we've got memberships, we've got family members that put money on their account for their loved ones. We also have rentals that have come in through the website, and so both interest and paid actual payments. So really thankful for that. So our participation, our membership from January 2nd to April 2nd so far is 1,195 members. The total participation, they participated in 25,864 events, which I'm really proud of because they're very active, especially at peak times, very active in our facility. So I'm extremely pleased to say that. Transportation from January 2nd to April 2nd, 1,814 rides. Also want to thank our Public Works Department. Our Public Works Department keeps our vehicles up, and that's huge. Whether it's just a lift or the vehicle itself, that's huge, and they really do a great job. So I want to thank our Public Works Department. Our volunteers, January 2nd through April 2nd, we've had 1,341 entries by 150 separate active volunteers who've gave 4,060 hours, volunteer hours, and that's just January 2nd through April 2nd. And so I'm very pleased. Again, it does take a village for what we do, and I'm just really proud to be part of the village. And I just want to give everyone credit because it's everybody's help that makes it work there. We're working on capital projects and improvements. We've received the auto scrubber for the floors, and the floors have never looked better. We're also working to get 6 computers with 2016 Microsoft software for outdated staff computers. Also working on a revamp of Carnahan equipment. Most of our equipment in our Carnahan room, which is our exercise room, was purchased in 2007. Some of the equipment is getting older. We've repaired what we can, but we have a couple of treadmills that I can't get parts for. So same thing with a stepper. So I'm looking to replace that, and I have that routing through the city. We're also looking to do a update in our Miller room to do a microphone and hearing loop. In the Hogan room's a little bit more extensive. It's a microphone hearing loop, speakers in the ceilings, and a camera that would assist our classes that would be put the image on the smart board. So it'd make our classes, our visual arts classes, a little bit easier for our members. And so we're just really excited about all of our new projects that we get to do, and I want to thank all of you. And if you have any questions.
Councilmember Vapurzian.
Just going to ask you how parking was.
At peak time, it's very crowded. Almost every day.
Figured as much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get the new vehicle that we approved selling the red car, right? At the last budget, didn't we do that? I thought you were going to get a replacement.
Well, there's an agenda item where there's a van being replaced in tonight's night's agenda items.
Okay. I just thought we talked about it. One of the gentlemen said they hated to have to drive it, so the red car, whatever it was.
We do have a vehicle to replace this year. We haven't purchased it yet.
Okay, that was my question.
Yes, sir. That's one of the items we've not purchased yet.
I realized I slept in. Maybe I was dreaming that.
No. Yes, sir.
Councilmember Timmons.
Nicole, I wanted to thank you and your team for all you do there to make that a success.
Thank you.
Every time I've brought somebody there, they're always so informative about what's going on. They're helpful. Anything you ask, it's just phenomenal. It's a very, very good thing. And thank you.
Thank you.
They're following your lead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Saunders.
Thank you, Mayor. Nicole, I would like to thank you for your service. I believe that you just went over 16 years with the city. Oh. That's quite an accomplishment. That's a lot. You're tough, I'll tell you.
We can't even make
Sweet
it
16.
Yeah, 16 years. Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
all I had.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Vogler? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This time we'll hear from Ms. Judy Keller, who's the Director of the Community and Economic Development Department.
Good evening. Thank you all for showing an interest in our departments and what we're doing. So I'm just going to try to give you an overview of what we've accomplished or what we've been involved in since January. It's going to be broad, so if you have specific questions or want me to elaborate tonight or anytime you want to come in and visit with me, I'm open for that, and I encourage you to. So I'd love to talk about what we're doing here. So I'm going to refer to my notes a lot because I don't want to forget anything, but I'm just going to start with business retention and how important that is to the city because we have a wonderful industrial park and we want to make it so that they can grow and prosper here. So we have quarterly industrial meetings with them. Sometimes it's a breakfast, sometimes it's a luncheon. The first one we did this year was at the high school, and the school officials met with them and talked about their new innovation program that will start in the fall called Driven. So that's pretty exciting, and if you haven't heard about it, you have a chance to hear about it again this Thursday with the Chamber Luncheon, because it will be at the high school also. And there will also be a representative to talk about the inclusive playground. And the young woman, well, I don't know that she's young because I haven't met her yet, but Victoria Babb will be here this week. She arrives tomorrow, and she will be meeting with people. I talked with her and Dave Roberts recently about people they might contact for support, and she just sent me the brochure that she'll be bringing with her tomorrow. I got it at 5:02, so I didn't get a chance to print it, but that's a huge part of what we do with the industries. We update the business list out there twice a year, and so I'm just contacting most of them to get their make sure there are no changes like in leadership or employment numbers. Let's see. Well, we've contacted almost every industry already this year for part of the business retention, either through email, phone calls. We've visited some of them at their location, and we've visited some of them off-site. So just keeping in touch with them, keeping that door open so if they have special needs, they can contact me or directly contact the mayor for anything they need. But so far, nobody has any complaints about doing business here. So it's encouraging. Everybody loves Maumelle. Let's see. We recently had hosted the AEDC commissioners and senior staff. That's the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. They travel around the state for their monthly meetings, so Maumelle hosted it in February. And we gave them a tour of the city, a tour of the industrial park, and then Kimberly Clark graciously opened up and gave them a tour of their facility. And it was really wonderful. And we had a dinner at Park on the River. We partnered with the Chamber for that dinner, and Timmons and Pat Walker and Courtney Dunn did an outstanding job of decorating it. It fell on Valentine's Day, so they made it really special. And there were some commissioners who had never been here before, and they couldn't believe Maumelle had all that it has to offer. So did I say I wasn't going to elaborate a lot? It's hard not to. So let's see, we partner with the Chamber a lot. The mayor and I are both advisors on their board, so we attend their monthly board meetings and sit in on some of their other committee meetings, and we try to support their ribbon cuttings and other events that they have. So we try to work with them, and they did partner with us for the dinner for the ADC commissioners. Let's see. We also partnered with them on the expo. The Parks Department does amazing. I mean, I don't know how they would have the expo without the Parks Department. MLRA is reorganizing, so I've attended several meetings about that. It's not going to affect our contract with them that we just signed in January, but they're restructuring it, and instead of paying somebody to staff it out of the funds that they receive through the contracts, all that money will start going for marketing. So we'll still get all the support that they agreed to in the contract, but the funds will be just used differently, and the board will be restructured. We'll no longer have 2 volunteers on it. The economic developers from each community will be the voting board. So it's not going to really be a board. It's more of a committee. So we think that's going to be a good change. In part of that MLRA, we have access to a data center called EMSI that we would pay far more than we pay MLRA through that contract. So that's a huge bonus. So you can get job information and economic information for like when we have an RFI for a project. Last month, Mr. Neary talked about how it's we're a team and no department stands alone. And that's certainly true for us because when we have a site visit, sometimes they want the mayor and me only. Sometimes they want a whole room full of people like permits and the fire marshal and planning and zoning and some of the utilities. So it's definitely a team. Nobody could be doing this alone. So I appreciate the support we get from everybody. We've met with several people who are looking at bringing a business here or want to rezone a property. So Mr. Neary and I work quite a bit together on those, and I appreciate it when he includes me in his meetings. We just recently assisted the Little Rock Chamber with a survey of Pulaski County industries, and then they met with, I was sick that day, but they met with the 4 school superintendents in the county to discuss the results of that and talk about workforce issues. I attended a meeting at the school board, at the administrative office of the Pulaski County Special School District when they were asking residents and people in the county to talk about what they wanted out of a superintendent, and they took that, and as you can see, they're moving forward. They have 3 people they're interviewing tomorrow. So it's nice that they were listening to the residents and businesses. And since January, we've submitted several projects for with AEDC. We submitted 2 sites for a 10-acre project, and then we submitted a combination of 2 sites for a 100-acre project. And then there was a 3rd project that we didn't qualify because it was too heavy for us. So, but it's good to see that there's some activity going on. We're also talking to the scholastic officials in New York City about their property and trying to help them get a new appraisal so that maybe we can market their land a little better. It's hard when you're a long-distance owner. We've had 2 meetings with Melinda Fauble at AT&T. She's our new representative. Ronnie Dedman got promoted, so she's replacing him. But he said he's still available if we need him. And I've worked with her for years, so she'll take good care of us, I think. Working with a committee that consists of Courtney Dunn and both of the ladies at the Chamber and Al Kennelly to do a shorter version of our, well, not even a version of the current video, but a new video that's about 3 minutes because we don't think anybody sits and watches a 6 or 7 minute video anymore. So it's really hard to squeeze everything wonderful about Maumelle in 3 minutes, but we're going to give it a try. So we're working on that. We've had several meetings. Working on the Memorial Day program with Bubba Beeson, who will be our guest speaker. For you, those of you who don't know, he's the one that does the Arkansas Run for the Fallen and the Field of Flags every year. So we're looking forward to a really great program this year. And Mayor Watson and I recently attended an announcement with the governor and AEDC about a new initiative they have to, they come in and critique your community and help you fill in gaps so that you're more competitive for RFIs. And we are a member of the International Conference of Shopping Centers. There's an Arkansas committee. I've served on the P3 committee for 2 terms, which will be ending in May. That's the public-private partnership, so I've been representing the public entity. We have a program once a year. It was in Bentonville this year, and it's a good chance for communities to interact with realtors who represent people like Dickies and get you in front of those people. So it's a good opportunity for us to try to get some retail. We're always trying to do that. Let's see. And I just want to commend Ms. Dunn for all the hard work she's done on the website. I'm her backup, but she's the technical one, and she's really helped everybody with getting their payments online and whatever they want, she's tried to do, and I think she's done a really good job. And if any of you want her to walk you through all the things that you can do on the website that maybe you haven't had a chance to do on your own, she's happy to do that. Just schedule some time with her. That you can sign up for online notices, so every time there's a new council meeting or a planning commission or any of those things, you can sign up to get an email that it's been posted. So I think that's a great thing for the residents because you might forget to look. So, let's see. And I'm excited that she will be attending the Basic Economic Development course later this month. And so she has a long-term plan to learn more about economic development, so she'll be attending her first basic course this month. So that's exciting. And lastly, we have visitors coming. Kimberly Clark is going to host them. They're from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis this week. So lots of good things happening here. And that's just a quick overview.
Very good.
I tried not to to elaborate too much, but it's hard.
Councilmember Scott?
Ms. Keller, do you recall offhand how many employees are at the industrial park? We used to have a number on that.
I don't have an exact number, but between 2,000 and 3,000. I can give you a more precise number.
I was just curious if it had grown much.
Some of the
industries,
industries,
like 22 or 2,400 or something.
No, it's more. It's growing. In fact, we met with ACE last week, we had lunch with the new plant manager and the HR manager, and since this time last year, they have 50 additional employees. So a lot of them are growing. And the mayor and I both tout this Center on the Lake every chance we get. We were at a internal ribbon cutting last week at Kimberly-Clark, and they had some employees retiring after many, many years, and we were encouraging them to go check out the Center on the Lake now that they'll have more time. So, yeah, I'll give you an exact estimate.
Dillard's is also adding jobs.
Yes, and Kimberly-Clark announced nationwide there would be some cuts, but we weren't too concerned about this facility since they've spent so much money investing in it in the last few years, including recently we went to a ribbon cutting that was just for renovations they made to make it a more pleasant place for their employees and a nicer entrance, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So, and I love it that they always include us in their celebrations. So, it's good stuff.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I wonder if you could kind of just elaborate a little bit on what is it? Is it called Track D? It's between Kroger and the old neighborhood market. Is that what you refer to it?
It is Track D.
Yeah. What is the status of that kind of? It's all owned by the same person
Yes.
or company.
Well, it's a group, a Doyle Roger company. The name's changed a little bit, but it's Tommy Lassiter and I think one of Doyle Rogers' sons.
Okay. Is there anything cooking there, or what's their thing? They don't seem to turn loose of their land very easily.
Well, they turned loose of all those out parcels.
Okay, they own
And
that too.
I mean, U.S. Pizza. That I think Mr. Lassiter had been working with them for a couple of years to get them to move. So he's doing things behind the scene. He just doesn't necessarily share it with us because it's a competitive world out there. If somebody down in North Little Rock finds out he's trying to lure somebody, they could jump ahead of him. So. They don't talk much about what they're doing, but I mean, and he got Chick-fil-A here, so he is working on it. I've requested a lunch with him so we can get up to date to see if he has any plans, but I can understand why they don't share with us very much.
Is he looking to maybe sell that whole parcel at one time, or is he?
Not to my knowledge.
Not necessarily. So it could end up with more Chick-fil-A type restaurants and things like that eventually.
I don't think so, but I know a few years back he made a presentation to the Citizens Group, MCA. And he had a plan, and it was for a life center. Mm-hmm. But and years ago he told me when he has a couple of anchors, he'll get started on something. But and so I think he's working on things happening there. I think it's just slow. Retail and industries. Sometimes the Sun paper in Arkadelphia, that project went on for like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they don't happen overnight.
Could you also touch on just the concept? I know some businesses, some restaurants, some banks. I know of one bank, they refuse to make their bank a destination. They always put it in a drive-through area to where people are going to be driving past it during the day as opposed to coming straight in. Does that affect why some businesses want to locate, say, just outside of Maumelle, more in the traffic way as opposed to, say,
well, traffic count has an enormous role in their decision making. Yes.
So some of them do. That is a priority. They want to be in a flow area, and others maybe want to be a destination.
It's amazing how many people they know exactly which side of the road they want to be on for outgoing traffic or incoming traffic. And we've worked with several businesses that. They wanted a certain type of location, and we went through every location we had in Maumelle, and they end up on both ends of us, but not here. And that's happened more than once. So they have their criteria, and they don't budge on it too much.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Keller?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, we had the procedural motion. We need a motion from the floor to read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight.
Offered.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight. Is there a discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is unfinished business. We have the third reading ordinance number 950 regarding a franchise agreement with MCI Metro.
Mr. Mayor,
Mad-
I move that we approve.
Whoa, we got to read it first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Third reading.
I'm sorry.
Madam City Clerk, if you'd have the third reading of ordinance number 950.
Being enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 950, an ordinance authorizing MCI Metro Access Transmission Services Corporation DBA Verizon Access Transmission Services, its successors, and assigns to construct, maintain, and operate a communications network within the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, levying a franchise tax, providing for the payment thereof, describing the method of collection, and for other purposes.
Now,
Yeah.
I move that we approve ordinance number 950.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 950. Is there any discussion on that motion? I know that Mr. Brian Bennett is in the audience again tonight for the third time, so yeah, I'll let him say something. If you would, state your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Brian Bennett. Address is 6 Regal Court in Little Rock, Arkansas. Although I do claim residence at the Maumelle Diamond Complex about 5 nights a week. So I've got 3 daughters involved in softball program, so very, very familiar with that area.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions for Mr. Bennett? All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
If there's no discussion or no questions, we'll have a roll call vote. Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Vapurzian, Councilmember Timmons, Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Scott,
Yes.
Councilmember Saunders,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley.
Yes. Motion passes, so ordinance 950 will go into effect. Thank you very much for you gentlemen being here for 3 meetings. All right, and y'all may be excused, so yeah. Councilmember Scott?
I did want to have just a little bit of discussion about franchise agreements. Would it be better to do it during Alderman's comments?
That'd be up to you. I don't know. I don't know your comments, so.
Oh, well, it just has to do with franchises in
Okay,
general.
I'll just say handle it now since we're talking about a franchise agreement.
Okay. Mr. Mayor gave me this book, by the way. I've been talking some with both the mayor and with the city attorney about franchise agreements and how they have been pretty much fixed for a long, long time. But as I said at the last meeting, it is an expense for the city, and it's becoming an even greater expense for the city for people to occupy those rights of ways. And so I had some questions about whether or not we could change it. And changing it is not easy because we have precedents and people expect the same sort of treatment that they've gotten before. There have even been some lawsuits when cities have tried to change. But I did find some things in the reading, and I was hoping that maybe City Attorney Norris could help us with a few of those. For instance, whether or not we charge for long distance, whether or not we charge for broadband, non-regulated broadband services, whether the city can be held harmless in the event of, if reasonable precautions are taken, can we be held harmless if we should nick one of their cables and cause a problem? And also just with the option of making some changes with some upfront payment and that kind of thing. So, City Attorney Norris, if you would just give us a few words on what you found, please.
There was a lot of there were a lot of questions there. Let's see if I can remember which ones. And so, also at the last meeting, you'd asked about a different version of a franchise fee or some sort of placement cost issue. It might be easier if you just ask the questions one at a time and I can address them instead of trying to remember all those questions.
Okay, what is the viability of having an upfront fee that on a payback basis as customers are delivered, as opposed to waiting until customers are delivered and then assessing the franchise fee?
So with that question, the issue is we're prohibited in having more than 4.25% fee is what is sort of the ceiling in that instance. Now, we can get to it in creative ways. It doesn't just have to be a flat fee. It could be some sort of placement line fee, but I really don't know how we would justify saying that that was less than 4.25% in cases where they aren't charging for the types of services that we can get. I think there's also an issue with some sort of almost like a permitting fee, but not really. It's kind of how I conceptualize a fee for laying the line, for actually using the right-of-way. And there might be some issues along the boulevard as to whether that's state right-of-way or city right-of-way and how that goes. So I don't think we're necessarily excluded from it. We just need to make sure that if we choose an alternate way of doing it, or if that utility agrees to it, or if it goes to a vote of the people, we can sort of break that 4.25% mold. But we just need to make sure that however we do it, it doesn't exceed 4.25% of what they can charge, or what their gross revenues for the qualified services that they're providing.
Okay. The ones that I was particularly concerned about are those who either don't pick up many customers or have no intention of picking up customers and are just picking up cell towers. But I did see in the handbook that we can charge for non-regulated broadband.
So if you're looking at the bottom, and thank you for the text message earlier letting me know, because I had no idea what you were talking about. There's subsection F of 14-200-101, which, by the way, is one of the few statute numbers that I remember because I've dealt with it so much. We dealt with it extensively in the litigation against the city and against Maumelle Water Management. I'm not sure, and I was doing some last-minute research this afternoon, whether or not the non-regulated broadband services, as talked about in the Broadband Over the Power Lines Enabling Act, would work here, since we're not actually talking about any installation of lines above ground. We're all talking about underground. I think it would, and then if that's the case, I think that we would be able to do the broadband services. And I was talking to the mayor, who I believe says that he thinks that we do.
I think we do charge that to the AT&T and Fidelity. I think they pay that fee.
I didn't see anything in this
Right,
franchise
right,
agreement for that,
right.
but they will be providing pretty much broadband
Right.
service, because
Right.
very few provide just plain voice
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And so when you brought that up, I looked at the franchise agreement, realized the same thing, that we don't explicitly say broadband. And then I went back to the version that I looked at before when we did Comcast, and it was basically the same contract. And then I went back to the one we used with Ritter, and I was trying to figure out at what point did we not include that provision, and I haven't found an answer. But it's something that I'm pretty sure we can, and that I'm pretty sure we do, and a good question that I'm unable to answer at the moment.
And, go ahead.
Well, we can amend this, I think, because there's a provision in there that we can amend this, so we may be able to do that in the future. Too,
Yeah.
so.
But we definitely can.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need to wait a certain number of time.
Right.
We can notify them in writing that we're doing that, and then of course they have the right probably to appeal to the public service. The public.
Well, if it's the Public Service Commission, don't they just handle regulated products?
Well, that's why I stopped midway through that.
Yeah.
They don't handle
They would have to appeal to somebody.
Somebody's
Probably the FCC.
Yeah.
They would have a right of appeal on that, though we've had pretty good relationships with them.
And as far as I know, I didn't see anything about long distance. We can collect .004 cents per minute on long distance.
I know we can collect on long distance. In 14-200-101, it discusses local franchise fees, but then there's some court cases that actually talk about long distance fees. If long distance fees are still charged for phone calls, I don't know.
They are on landlines.
Landlines, okay.
Yeah.
And those are the phones that have a wire into the wall, right? Okay. I've heard of those. So, yeah.
Well, I won't bore the audience and the rest of the council with all of this, but I do want to want for us to move forward with these revenue opportunities.
Okay.
Right.
Because they're rare, and to do them when we can. So thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Timmons?
Well, I was noticing that it said this ordinance does not restrict the city from the right to alter the text upon the proper notification in advance.
Right, that's what we're talking about, the amendment. Yeah, we can amend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to hold these poor guys up. It wasn't
Yeah.
fair to them to, at the last minute, grab them by the neck. But
On the way out the door.
Councilmember Saunders?
Thank you, Mayor. And this may not be what you're saying, but I do have a real opinion here. This was brought up, I believe it was the last council meeting when we were talking about MCI, the group we just approved, and for some upfront fees and some changes. I would rather not see us go in and change things on potential service providers for the city. Once they have made the decision to come here, we shouldn't go in and backdoor them, okay? If we do something like this, I would strongly encourage us to do it up front so that anybody considering coming here would know that in advance. We're not slapping them down in the middle of a meeting, okay? That's the only thing I would say, and I'm not saying that's what you were doing.
yeah, no, I let them off the hook.
That's good.
I said it wasn't, it wasn't pointed directly at them. It was just the number. We've had 3 approaches to the city just in the last several months, and it really is a revenue opportunity for us. And giving them plenty of advance notice and
Right.
an opportunity to appeal and all that.
As
is-
long as
is
they
the
come
fair
in
way.
to the city
Yeah.
with this knowledge up front.
Right.
That's the only concern that I have. So,
Understood.
okay. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. Do most of these contracts renew at a certain point, don't they?
Yes.
So we could even just do that. I mean, that's just a thought that can be at the renewal, so that gives plenty of notice. But it's not that we're going to backdoor anything. Things change. Whenever you go and you renew your contract with anyone, if the fee has gone up, it's usually assessed at the next renewal. So I think that would make sense too. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
If I could, thank you, Councilmember Scott. Sometimes it's easier to just go with what we've done, which is how I drafted this. I copied and pasted someone else's name. But over time, even if it's more work for me or for us, it's good to have fresh eyes, challenging just sort of what we've been doing all the time. And it's actually ultimately helpful, so thank you.
Well, my pleasure.
Frustrating, but helpful and the right thing to do. So
That's called the job.
All right, if there's no other discussion on this item, we'll move on to new business. We have the resolution number 2018-10 expressing a willingness to utilize grant funding. Madam City Clerk, if you'd read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2018-10, a resolution to utilize federal aid 5310, enhance mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities programs, and for other purposes.
Okay, this is the van I referenced earlier when Ms. Vogler was up here, and so this is one of the 5310 vans, and so I'll let Ms. Vogler explain the process and the program if you're not aware of it. So.
Yes, sir. As part of the process, we need a resolution with your approval to go for this grant. The funds were appropriated in the 2018 budget. The majority of the funds were appropriated. We did change the vehicle type upon working with our volunteer drivers. I had originally budgeted for a smaller transit van that we've had trouble with our members getting in and out of the vehicle. And so our volunteer drivers had asked that I change to a slightly more expensive vehicle. 2 of the drivers that were asking me to do this are on the Counting on Each Other board, David Hodges and Jim Pacino. They're great volunteers, along with Mr. Saunders, of course, as one of our drivers every week. But with this program, they had asked, and they also have, I have a letter saying that they will give $4,000, and so I'll be within budget. Senior Services will be within budget with 2018 in what they're requesting for this grant.
Councilmember Vapurzian?
Motion to approve Resolution 2018-10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2018-10. Is there a discussion on that motion? Councilmember Saunders?
Thank you, Mayor. Is this to replace the old van that has a leaking back rear tire?
Does it leak when it rains?
Well, it leaks down to about that low and then stops, according to Midge. But it's the old van. I believe it's the old ramp van.
Okay, this isn't the ramp van. We actually have a replacement for the ramp van, and we'll be bringing that to your attention to surplus soon. But this is what we call the shuttle van. It's a 2007 13-passenger van. It has front-end alignment issues, so we only drive it in town. It's safe, but it also rains internally depending on what corner you turn. We have fixed it and fixed it and fixed it, and it's really beyond its useful life.
That's all.
All right. Councilmember Mosley?
Okay, so this vehicle will cost about $53,000. Our share of the match would be about $10,000. Counting on each other's pledge $4,000 of that 10, and so the remainder would be about $6,600 what we'd be looking at, and that's already in your budget.
Yes, sir.
What is the amount that's in your budget?
Believe it was.
It's more than that,
Yeah,
I guess.
it was.
It is. It was more than that.
And this is all contingent on you getting the grant, is that correct?
It would be contingent upon us getting the city getting the grant, but I do need the council's approval to apply for the grant.
All right, I'm with you.
Thank you.
Okay. There's any other questions or discussion on Resolution 2018-10?
Motion to approve.
We've already got those. Yeah.
Never mind, I went to sleep. Sorry.
All right.
Wake up.
All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vogler. Next item is the first reading of ordinance number 951, amending the Maumelle City Code. Madam City Clerk, if you'd read that by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 951, an ordinance adopting and enacting supplemental provisions of the City of Maumelle Code for the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, providing for the manner of amending such code and providing when such code and this ordinance shall become effective.
Okay, this is something we have to do to basically get our ordinances up through October 16, 2017 in the big book that y'all have, the city code book. So this is the ordinance that allows that to legally be put in the code book. And so we're doing supplements 11 and 12 with this ordinance. And it says through ordinance 943. We just had the reading of 951. So, and not every ordinance goes in there. It has to be, what's the correct words, Mr. Attorney?
General and permanent in nature.
General and permanent in nature goes in the code book. Like you don't do necessarily an ordinance that is making a rezoning change, because that can change, but it goes into a different document, which is a zoning map. So, but it wouldn't show up in the code book necessarily every ordinance that shows up in there. But this is just standard housekeeping that we have to do once or twice a year, depending on the number of ordinances that have been passed recently. Is there any questions on ordinance 951? It'll be on second reading at the next meeting. Next item is the first reading of ordinance number 952, amending master land use plan. Madam City Clerk, if you read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 952, an ordinance amending the Maumelle Land Use Plan and map for other purposes.
Okay, this is the 2.49 acres at the Villa at River Point that Mr. Blake Jackson and them are developing the complex down there, and so they've added an area, or they want to rezone this so they can add another phase to their development. I think Mr. Jackson's got a presentation he wants to make. So, If you would state your name and address for the record.
My name is Blake Jackson, and I live at 315 Rock Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. But I've been doing business in Maule Mill for 6 years and founded my company here, which is also on the property that we're adding or looking to add another phase to. So I wanted to kind of take you from where we started to where we are and to where we'd like to go.
Give me just 1 second. Alrighty.
All right, so at the acquisition of the property, it was occupied by 9 trailer homes and 2 homes that were built between the 1960s and 80s. There were septic tanks for these dwellings, above-ground power lines, rusted sheds, waste, and litter throughout the property. It was literally the Wild West. There was washed-out gravel driveways, and the property lacked any type of landscaping or irrigation. And these are some photos of what the property looked like at the time of our purchase. And this property is in between our development and the Arkansas River. We also, our other neighbors use their land to store all their unused construction trailers and other type of construction debris. And so we had, one of our first tasks was to kind of clean all this up. And so this is kind of where we're at today. Over the past 6 years, we've worked to create a world-class resort community unlike anything in Arkansas. Our team's a small family business. It's me, my brother, our dad, our mom, and one of our other brothers. And I'm an architect. Our father's an architect. And but we started a development company. And we also work with some of the best professionals to create a unique and luxury lifestyle and brand. My office is on site at the villa, and so I'm there every day to ensure that there's consistent quality in both our product that we offer and service for it. If you go on our social media and ratings reviews, 99% of them are 5 stars. And so we have not only people live with us and leave and come back, we have really good track record in terms of what we've created. We offer more amenities than any other property in the community, which includes cabanas, croquet, spas, outdoor pavilions, dog parks, clubhouse, game rooms, shuffleboard, chess, tables, fountains, grilling areas. And these are a lot of things that traditional single-family housing can't offer. We have amazing landscaping to complement the architecture of our community, which features palm trees, seasonal color, and water elements. We've installed new infrastructure that the entire area can use in addition to our development that includes new sewer lines, water lines, gas lines, fiber optics, streets, sidewalks, and all the power on our site we put underground. And this development has increased property values and improved the overall look of this area. Our average occupancy is 98%, with many months being at 100%, and we have waiting lists for our most popular homes. And these are photos of what we've built over the last 6 years since coming to Maule Mill. This is our clubhouse area, our aqueduct park, our entry circle and drive, which overlooks the river. This is our entry lobby and mural and reception area. Looking back towards our fireplace and the game room. We have shuffleboard, pool tables. We have our fitness center. This is our outdoor pool area with spas and cabanas, and we have movie nights and show sporting events on our outdoor theater. These are some of our cabanas that have TVs, refrigerators, heaters, fans.
Wow.
We have artwork throughout the entire property. And one of the primary reasons I wanted to show you so many photos is because while this is a multifamily community, I think it's comparable to Four Seasons and Marriott's and other developments you see all around the world. These are actually our resident buildings. Being an architect, I only use real materials, so this is real stucco, stone. We have the round downspouts just like they have in Rome, Italy. This is our model apartment, so we've got custom millwork, fireplaces, cove lighting, decorative lighting fixtures. Nine-foot ceilings, big bathrooms. This is our promenade that goes between the buildings that has some of our grilling areas, some of the umbrella and fountains I mentioned. This is what was recently approved. We just completed it. This is our outdoor pavilion and sports lawn. We built more cabanas that you can kind of see through the ornamental fence. This is at nighttime inside our pavilion with outdoor TVs, and our residents are already just loving it, especially this great weather we've been having. So this is our second pool that was part of the project that was just approved. And so that's what we've been doing, and this is like the next step we'd like to take. We're asking to develop just 2 buildings. There'll be a total of 56 residences. And the architecture will be consistent with what you just saw, high quality materials that we've done in the first few phases. The difference being these are going to be a lot larger homes. There's going to be more glass, and we're going to introduce newer technologies that didn't exist when we built the first few phases. We're going to continue our lush landscaping and gardens into this phase, and as required by code, but to also support all the landscaping we include. It'll have irrigation, and we'll take care of all the stormwater management. And so reasons that I put together to support this is that we purchased this 2.5 acres along with a lot of other land that the first phase were built from the adjacent property owner, Mr. and Mrs. Janet Watkins, with the knowledge that we would develop it. This is what we believe is the highest and best use for this property. It'll never be developed as single family, and it never was, because prior to us purchasing it, it had all those trailers and homes on it. Multifamily housing brings fewer automobiles per household than single family developments. And this property also has access to both Maumelle Boulevard and Counts Massey Road leading to Crystal Hill Road. So we have multiple ways out, which is great for egress. And also, if you look at the city map, it's kind of unusual, but all the land we've purchased is surrounded by North Little Rock on the west, north, and east sides. And the land directly north of us is zoned C3 commercial. So that could potentially become like a Home Depot or any type of retail. And to our west is actually one of Mr. Richardson's properties is still zoned industrial, I believe. And to the east, we have the bowling alley and a cemetery. And so multifamily is actually transitioning from commercial to residential, the best use for it. So our goal is to continue to raise property values in the surrounding community and further beautify the area. And to date, our company has already invested $30 million in Maumelle, and this phase will add about $10 more million. This will bring new customers to businesses, people to churches, children to schools, and families to parks and recreational activities. And this is one of my most important points. This development will create a type of housing that best meets the needs of a diversified group of people. You have young and traveling professionals, seniors, students, divorcees, singles, and military residents, and they can all have this type of housing that single family just isn't satisfactory for in many cases. And this will also provide increased revenue for the city of Maumelle through taxes, fees, licenses, permits, and other forms of payment. And a couple weeks ago, the Planning Commission voted to support this proposal. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you have.
All right, any questions for Mr. Jackson? Councilmember Scott?
It is already zoned for the multifamily?
No.
That's what we're
Okay,
doing
that's
tonight.
what you're here trying to do?
they're asking for-
Okay.
It's zoned single family residential, and we're doing special use residential.
Okay, and you said that you're taking care of any storm drainage?
Yes.
Okay. I've
The
been,
city requires that, and,
Yeah.
Mr. Mazan approves all the plans. and
Okay.
That's what we've done on every phase so far, and we'll continue to do.
and I have been out there, and it's gorgeous.
Well, thank you so much.
Almost-
Yeah, I invite all y'all to come out. I'd love to show it off. We're very proud of it.
It is gorgeous. Yeah.
And, as an architect, I put my reputation on the line. I want it to not only be financially successful, but the design is very important to me. So that's what we've been doing and continue to do.
Okay.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, Blake, I always appreciate you. You've always been very cordial and had me out to look around, and always been very impressed with what you do out there. and I've told you in the past, and I'll tell you again tonight, I for what you do, you're top notch. I have to, the concept of multifamily housing in a traffic bottleneck area is the theory that I have problems with, and I think I did way back there. I was not even on the council back in 2012 when you did it, and I was one of the ones that actively opposed it. But we've been friends. We get along. It works out. I was over there today, and I was driving around. There's a building 13. Is what you're going to do? Is it similar to what you've got going there in building 13? It's kind of a separate building.
Right. Well, building 13 is what I call a type 2, and it has 12 2-bedroom, 2-bath. These two buildings that we're proposing are going to be two 24 units. Well, sorry, let me take that back. These are, because we have more slope on this property, it's going to be split level. So these are going to be 4 stories instead of 3. There'll be 3 stories from the north entrance and 4 from the south entrance. So that's actually how you get to a total of 56. But it's 2 buildings. They'll be very similar to that. The one that they're more similar to will be like building number 10, closest to the clubhouse. And with the exception, it'll be 1 story taller, and we're going to put a lot of glass on the top floor. With this being closer to the river, we want to maximize those views for those apartments.
Okay. Now, did you say something about a south entrance? Is it going to go down and connect to?
No, it will not connect to Crystal Hill. Entering from the south side of the building, our breezeways go through the building entirely. So if you enter from the south side, it's 4 stories, but if you enter from the north side, it's 3 stories, and that's so nobody has to go up 4 flights of stairs. The maximum will be 3 flights.
Okay. Now there's been something going on drainage wise over there, and the mayor's got it under control, I think. Apparently some water comes off that hillside and washes out some asphalt every once in a while. And I know this doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing tonight, so I'm not going to take it any further, but I trust Mr. Neri and his group to.
Well, I'll also add the McGeorge Contracting Company owns land in between this 2.5 acres and Crystal Hill Road.
Right.
We don't go all the way to Crystal Hill, so.
Okay.
But that's something we'll work with Mazan and our engineers to make sure all stormwater is handled properly.
Okay.
I've always thought we want to be good neighbors, and so that's
right. And I know you will.
Yeah, they'll have to provide detention that's not being provided right now in that same area. So, and it's actually coming down an old gravel road that used to access the trailers, is what I think it used to do, or somewhere in there. That road used to go up in there, and so we're going to work on trying to divert that water that's coming down that old driveway. So,
I think this development actually improved drainage in the area versus it being undeveloped.
Yeah.
All right. But I do think I would encourage the council members to look at this pretty hard. I think this is something the residents don't understand. They don't understand why the planning department and the city council would approve more multifamily housing in a traffic bottleneck area. And so if that can be addressed in any better form between now and our final vote, that would be helpful for the residents to gain an understanding, because that's actually one of the reasons I ran for council was I just didn't understand that. And Mr. Neri's been kind enough to meet with me and kind of refresh me, and he's still kind of where he was 6 years ago. It's they base their decisions in the planning department based on the best land use, and traffic is not a big consideration. I think the residents are looking for us to say, okay, we're going to do the best we can with what comes along, not to cause more traffic problems. And so please be thinking about that between now and the final vote. I will be a no vote on it. And again, it's the concept. It's not what you're doing there.
Well, and I'll just go back to my point. A multifamily per bedroom adds fewer cars. There's been studies done on that, and I don't know if this is true, but I would imagine Popeyes that they just opened up might add more traffic than what we're proposing. But households mean more customers for businesses and people for church and things like that. So
rush hour is the key, I guess. So I don't know how many people hit Popeyes at rush hour. But.
Well, this is $10 million, and I don't think it'll make a noticeable difference. But.
All right. I'm through for tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hang on, I got more questions. Yeah. Councilmember Saunders.
Thank you, Mayor. Blake, thanks for giving the presentation. I still remember whenever I was out there and you toured me around, and I was very impressed. So far as the needs and wants of the people or the residents of Maumelle or future residents of Maumelle, I'm going to assume that there is a definite need for your type of housing. It's definitely upper class. And I know from being for many years a commercial appraiser, I know that 98% occupancy rate is just pretty dang good. Yeah. And that tells you something about the need and the want for your facility. On that note, I would encourage any of y'all that have not, and even in the audience, that has not gone out there and walked through that place. And Blake took me and showed me the place and walked around and talked to me about it. And I was going, oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Now, it might be worth the time just to drive out there and look at it. You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go look at it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Blake.
Councilmember Scott.
What's your construction window if this is approved?
We'd like to break ground in July, and it'll be a 10 to 12 month construction period.
Okay.
So we would open up next summer.
I'm tying that into when the programs will be active, so, okay, thank you.
There'll be a little ahead.
Councilmember Williams.
Is PDC your construction company?
They built phase 2.
Are you going to go with them again?
We're looking at that.
Oh, okay, because I know what quality work they do, and they built a storm detention drain for us too. So I know, and a 8,000 square foot building, and I know that they do great quality work.
They built phase 2, and it was a very wonderful experience.
Yeah, I had a good experience.
I think it would make a lot of sense to have them do the next phase.
Well, I love that company, and it'll be a yes vote for me.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions for Mr. Jackson? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So this was the master land use plan. So it was amending the land use plan from SFD, which is single family development, to SUR. Now we'll have the first reading ordinance number 950 with 3, which is amending the Maumelle zoning map from PRD from R1 to PRD. Madam City Clerk, if you'd read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 953, an ordinance amending the Maumelle zoning map and for other purposes.
Okay, as I stated, they're both these ordinances pertain to the same piece of property. One's the master land use plan, and then the other's the zoning map. Also, in the back, you have a copy of the Planning Commission meeting minutes that were behind this ordinance. Councilmember Mosley.
I do have one question on both these ordinances. It says where the city, it says the Planning Commission, somewhere in there, said unanimously approved a motion to recommend adoption of the amendment to the land use. There were actually two planning commissioners absent that night. So does that make it unanimous or just unanimous among the ones that attended? What is the official vote tally on a deal like that? Is it 5-2?
There was multiple questions there,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't say unanimous. And I think it doesn't in the zoning, but apparently I didn't take it out. Is it in both of them?
This is the zoning one.
Okay.
I'm not looking at
So I know I took it out. I remember taking it out. Doesn't mean I didn't untake it out. But apparently I didn't take it all the way out, and you're correct. There were absences there. So when there's absences, I typically just say it was passed, and then when it's unanimous, I say it was unanimous. But I wouldn't consider it unanimous with 2 people absent.
Okay.
Or it'll say unanimous by all present, but it shouldn't read the way it reads. That was my mistake.
Take that out without having to go back to first reading?
I can do that, yeah.
Yeah, they both say unanimous.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I will take those out. My apologies. Good catch.
All right. There are other questions on ordinance number 953 or discussion? Or if not, we'll move on to the next item, which is mayor's comments. Just wanted to let y'all know we did receive the final certified election results last week from the Election Commission. Nothing changed significantly. 2 of the 3 initiatives passed. So the public safety tax passed and the interchange project passed. And I visited with the highway department last week, and if the bonds can be issued and everything, they said we might be able to let that job in September. So that could move that project up a little bit, like 3 months above what I thought it was going to be, because I was thinking it's December. So we'll be coming forward with some bond issues and all that during the summer to try to get that done and get the September letting to take place. Easter weekend events, we had the Easter egg hunt at Rolling Oaks Soccer Complex, or Fidelity something. Fidelity Sports Complex, I believe is what it is, so I'm always mess that up. There was probably 1,000 people there, at least. There was 8,000 eggs there that didn't stay on the ground very long. Minute and 45 seconds is how long it took to pick up 8,000 eggs. And that's, if you measured the other 2 fields, it was shorter than that, but the 4 and under took 1 minute and 45 seconds to pick up their section of eggs.
They were like little vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, it was like multicolored with a little bit of green grass, and then it was green grass, and as they moved to the middle. So it was a great event. But want to thank the Maumelle Parks and Recreation Department, the Maumelle Youth Council, and the Paytons. The Paytons always sponsor that event and provide the money and the prizes, and it's a great event. And I mean, at 9:30, the park was empty almost again. So started at 9, and the park was empty at 9:30. So, and then soccer games were going to start right after that. So it's an amazing event. And then also we had the sunrise service. We didn't have quite the number of people show up Sunday morning at 6:45. The forecast was not good, but we didn't get rained on. It was not cold. It's still in the 60-degree mark. But we had about 100 people show up for that event. And so I want to thank the First United Methodist Church for sponsoring that. We still had a great service with the number that were there. And they do a great job with that every year. And then the other item that I have on here is the Police and Fire Banquet. Friday night, we had the Police and Fire Banquet sponsored by the Rotary Club, so we appreciate the Rotary Club putting that on. And I do have to give a shout-out to Cindy Vandenack. She got 43 door prizes to give out during that event, and all I did was stand up there and call out numbers. Seemed like forever. They were very good prizes. Some of them were hundreds of dollars worth of prizes, and some of them were one-of-a-kind things. So it was a great event, but the reason they do that is to allow both of our chiefs to present awards to their officers and firefighters for things that have happened throughout the year. And the police department gave out several life-saving awards, some that they had used Narcan to save people that were under the effects of a drug overdose, and it saved their lives. And then one of them was handed out for the victim of a dog attack that we had last year. And Officer of the Year was given to Derek Jackson from the police department. And then the fire department gave out their awards for service for several items. And their firefighter of the year was Josh Malden, and the volunteer firefighter of the year was Mike Dawson. So, but that was a very good event, and we had about 160 people in attendance at that event. And it was at the Center on the Lake, and it was very good. All right, so we'll move on to the Planning Commission report. It's got you down, Councilmember Mosley. I know you weren't there, but you got the minutes, I guess. So.
Plus, I watched it on video.
Oh, you watched it on video? Okay, all right.
I know how the planning guys watch our deals a lot of times.
Yeah.
But it works out well. As far as what they did the other night, they elected new officers for the coming year. David Gershner is the new chairman of the Planning Commission. John Todd was reelected as vice chairman, and Hall Ramsey was elected secretary. They had a pretty full calendar of events there. They had National Convenience Solutions had 3 items. They had a proposed preliminary plat, proposed site plan, and proposed landscape plan. All 3 of those things passed by a 5-2 margin. Well, yeah, there were two people that were not there, and so I guess they're counted as a no vote officially. Then there was proposed site plan for Stericycle Nabisco Branch Warehouse. That was passed 5-2. Proposed landscape plan for the same company, 5-2 passed. Then a proposed preliminary plat for Panther Mountain Commercial Addition, that passed 5-2. And then the two items that we saw tonight's packet, the request for amendment to the master land plan, land use plan for the villa, that passed 5-2, and then the request for amendment for the master zoning map passed 5-2, both with recommendations for the council's approval. And I guess that concluded that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next item is council member comments. Council member Vapurzian.
A couple quick things. My daughter-in-law is now the marketing director at Chick-fil-A here in town. And so because of that, she and my son were able to go to the banquet for the police and fire banquet. And they called me after, and Preston said, Dad, that was the most impressive thing I've seen since I've been here. He said, I wish more people could go. Now, it may not be possible, but the job that our uniformed personnel does has usually been at the Park of the River, which is a smaller venue. Now being here, it's a little larger venue. I'm glad more people were able to attend, but I would love for the people of Maumelle to know what our uniformed personnel do and the awards that are given out. They would really, really be impressed to see these men and women and what they do on a daily basis. Just wanted to throw that out. Second, I noticed that the county sales tax was up $100,000 from last year, and so was the city sales tax up $100,000 from last year. Same time, same month, and I figured Councilmember Mosley would be happy about that. And then the third thing was this: I just wanted you to know that since the Morgan portion of the sales opportunity there failed, several of us are actively pursuing how we can see that come to pass. That is the simple, quickest, to talking with the mayor, revenue generated from the third entrance is 3 to 5 years away. Revenue generated from the northern end of town would have been very, very quick. I've already talked to commercial landowners up in the northern end of town that are just dying to build, but they can't because there's no pump station, and these would generate some big revenue. We already have an entrance there. We have roads. We have infrastructure. The only thing we need is a pump station. And so we're going to be working a lot of different avenues and angles trying to see how we can make that happen to get a lot of good commercial growth up there and a lot of revenue for the city. It's sitting there. It's low-hanging fruit. It's the easiest thing. And so I just want to let you know that that is something that I'll be working on with a number of other people to see if we can't make that happen. Thank you.
And I want to point out one thing. You brought up the city sales tax. There was $103,000 collected last month from department stores, which is code number 4521 that I included in your packet, the NAICS codes, whatever they're called, NAICS codes. Anyway, we've never had department stores before, so I'm not sure why that was included. I'm not sure how it showed up. So
They're not going to ask for it back, are they?
They could very easily. So they take money away every month too. So if you look down that report, you see negative numbers. That's when someone pays for something and then it gets rebated back to them. So it could very well go away. So don't spend it. Yeah,
Okay.
is all I'm just giving you some.
We were writing checks.
Yeah, don't be writing checks. So we need to see if it holds next month, because we have seen one other time someone took some money away. I think it was $280,000 worth they took away. So, yeah, because of some things like that. So, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. All right, Councilmember Scott.
I just wondered if someone could check for me when Mr. Kelly's turn was on the Planning Commission, because I'll have to take his place, or I plan to take his place. And you don't have to do it this minute, but just let me know.
I'll be happy to notify you, Councilmember Scott.
Thank you.
Go around the blanks.
All the blanks.
Put her in the blanks.
Okay. Councilmember Mosley.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up. You were talking about trying to take a relook at the sewer thing up there. And we had Tab Townsend, you talked about impact fees. Have you considered applying that concept to that situation to where, say, we pay up front for the sewer, but as they connect, they reimburse the city for their share of the cost for the capacity they take?
There are numbers of possibilities that we're looking into. The main thing that I would like to see us to get in there is at least the pump station, and then developers that come in, if they want to hook into it, then that could possibly be part of the situation. One of the biggest things that we're going to have to, though, in the near future, and it probably won't be until budget season, to be honest with you, because I want to see what we can get for free first. There's a lot of work that we have to do. But by budget season, if we don't have an answer on that, because there are several other avenues that we're looking at, then we're going to need to appropriate an RFQ to see what is it actually going to cost. That's what I need to know. That's what I'm interested in knowing. What is it actually going to cost? And the mayor's already met with, if I'm correct, North Little Rock Wastewater, and they were not willing to help at all. Is that correct?
Well,
or
they weren't ready to commit. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not ready to help at all.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah,
So
they've got a lot of other projects that they're working on, improvements that are already they've got going.
They put tens of millions of dollars into Maumelle, and more than they had anticipated because of the shape of where we were at. Although I'm not against asking for anything, we will revisit.
We're going to revisit with them.
Yes.
Yes, also yes.
So anyway, there's a lot of things, and there's some also talking with standing wastewater, things like that, because of the septic fields. It's called brownfields. There's some brownfield grants that we might be able to get for the northern end of town, because so many of the residences up there have septics, and when it rains, they overflow, and that's a hazard, environmental hazard. So we may be able to enlist a grant or two for that. So we're looking at multiple opportunities to do that. It would be great if we could partner with North Little Rock Wastewater to say, hey, listen, it's going to be revenue generating for you. It's going to be revenue generating for us. What could we do to partner with this? Maybe, we've already mentioned the possibility of getting a special improvement district up there, or a sewer improvement district up there with some of the business owners. But I do know and have spoken to commercial landowners up there that are ready to go.
The one reason I'm mentioning that is I had one constituent that came up to me and told me about that, and he actually owns land throughout the Little Rock area, land and some commercial development and so on. He said, I'll tell you, Mosley, he said, I voted no on that sewer thing. And I said, why did you vote no? And he said, well, because everywhere I've ever gone, I've had to pay for my own water and sewer improvements. And he said, I just couldn't see why those folks would get something like that without paying for it. So my thought is if it looks like the residents would get reimbursed at some point for an upfront building of the thing, then they'd be more.
They may have to pay to hook in, but they don't have to pay for the infrastructure. Generally speaking, am I correct in that, Eric? I mean, they would pay to hook into a pump station, but they would normally have to pay for a pump station itself. So again, that would be an opportunity. Maybe we could cut our costs greatly by just having the pump station say, it's there, all you got to do is hook into it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, any other council member comments? Mr. City Attorney?
Councilmember Mosley had asked earlier what the budget amount in senior services was for the van, and that was $8,300. I couldn't look it up quick enough, and so we moved on. But it was $8,300, and I believe the resolution forecasted about $6,600. So it'd be coming in under that.
All right. Thank you for that detail. Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say something, and that was it. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Assistant Finance Director now?
Yeah.
Mr. Google searcher.
Attorney Google.
Madam City Clerk, any comments?
Just letting the council know that I am going to advertise this week. There is going to be a vacancy on the Public Facilities Board, the Civil Service Commission, and also on the Academics Plus Charter School Board. So all of that will be coming to you for appointment. That's it.
All right. Is there any other business to come before the council? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Meeting is adjourned.